Welcome, everybody, to Strangest Species, episode maybe 24?
I have no idea.
Somewhere
Around.
in that ballpark.
Yeah.
So, how's it going?
It is going.
Sweet.
Yeah. Trucking along.
Trucking along. In case you don't know, I'm your host, Mike Davis. This is Ethne Davis.
Yep. We had a fun adventure in Tri-Cities this past weekend.
Yeah. Just got home.
Yeah. Just got home not too long ago and had some good times. Really good times. We're so grateful for, Grandma's party.
Yeah.
The kids literally love it and can't even function normally because of it.
That is very true. They are
So
very, well, they're in bed now. But they were very wired because of it.
yeah. I mean, not just that, just all the things. But yeah, the late nights and we had a good, fun time.
Mm-hmm.
Broke one of my best friend's special dishes from Spain. So that was emotional.
We always tell the kids, don't touch things. But
I cried. She cried. We hugged it out. Oh, gosh. Anyway, we told her about the podcast and she's so excited. She already started listening.
that's true.
So-
Even though she hates you now.
She doesn't hate me. Don't talk about it. For
I didn't
real.
bring it up.
I'm just, that's
I
enough.
won't talk about it.
Okay.
I will never talk about it again in my life.
She doesn't hate me.
No, that's true.
But it was a rough, emotional moment.
It's true. It was emotional. No, it was a good weekend for sure, yeah. We had another chicken die.
Yeah.
Think maybe the raccoon's back. But you didn't chase it naked through the woods this time.
I don't think the raccoon ever left. I think the raccoon is not privy to our yard because it knows what happens. I think the raccoon was still in the forest next to our house. I just think it chooses to avoid our space.
Yeah, I think the raccoons move around a lot. Like, I think they're always like in the block, but not necessarily like in our section of the forest.
But our back neighbor said he's heard a bunch of stuff in his yard. And
I know the neighbors across the street have reported having the raccoons in their yard.
yeah. So anyway, we really need to catch this raccoon, you guys, because that's another dead chicken. That means we've lost 4.
Yeah.
now.
And I don't know if you guys know this, but once a raccoon rips off a chicken's head, you can't put it back on. Like that chicken's gone.
Right? No way.
Yeah.
That's...
It's true.
I thought you were going to say the thing where they keep coming back year after year. Like, did you know this? Like a real fact, not just that,
Well, I'm pretty sure that's a fact.
that you can't put the chicken's head back on?
Yeah.
I mean, but I think
I
that
don't
it's
think
a
I'm
fact that
wrong.
everyone knows.
Well, in case you didn't know, now you know. That chicken's head stays
Off.
separated. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. So,
But he was very scared to tell us, I think. He was very nervous to tell us. And we'd been looking for it since Friday. So we were like, it must have been sick or must have put it, like we couldn't figure out where it went.
we presumed it was dead.
Yeah, we did presume it, but I presumed more so like it. A lot of times if they know they're going to die, they kind of put themselves in a little corner and just kind of go to sleep. I don't really know. So this one is still bizarre. How it got into my neighbor's yard. They have a huge fence on all sides. We just don't know. It's a mystery, but it sounds like it's
Building a mystery.
raccoon again.
There's a little Sarah McLachlan for you guys.
Yeah, you sound just like her. She's Canadian, by the way. Okay. All right. We're focusing. I'm sorry. I feel like we're all over the place.
Yeah.
Building a mystery, raccoons.
Speaking of building a mystery, today's episode is on a mystery.
What?
Do you know which mystery, Ethne?
No.
No.
Nope, it sure don't.
No. Hey, actually, real quick, our friend whose house we stayed at, whose butter dish she broke, is going to make a bunch of Stranger Species.
Oh, yeah,
Shirts.
shirts for us.
So if you want a Stranger Species shirt, email me at strangerspecies@gmail.com and I'll see what I can do.
We don't know what fee we're charging yet, right?
Right now, I'm not charging any fee other than maybe to get it to you. I don't even know how I would accept that.
Well, but we don't even know like, we have to buy the shirts.
Right.
So, I
I'm
mean,
not so worried. If you're an OG listener and you want a shirt, you email me. And I'll see what I can do.
okay. Let's see if you get any responses.
Yeah. If you're the person in Russia, I'm sorry. I don't know if I can get you a shirt.
You never know.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
We're pretty. So actually a lot of listeners in Europe. I don't know if any of you guys can get shirts. We'll see.
Yeah.
But
I
if you
mean,
live
the
closer to us,
shipping,
then
the
we'll see
shipping
what
is
happens.
wild these days. Anything, anywhere,
I know, man.
even within the United States.
So true. Okay, back to today's story. As always, you don't know what it is. But a lot of people are going to be familiar with today's story.
Oh, just not
It's
me.
another one, kind of like Dyatlov Pass, that is fairly well known. It gets brought up in a lot of podcasts and YouTubes and stuff. In the world of the weird and macabre and bizarre and stuff. So, let us go back to December 7th, 1900. Exactly 84 years before the birth of one podcast host, namely myself.
Wow. Like you are the most special birth that ever happened.
Well, if you ask my mom, it might be. Top 3 at least.
Top 3. Oh dear. I think she cried when she found out she was pregnant with you, actually.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm
Last time she
I'm
cried.
sure of it. So
Yeah. Robert Muirhead.
Muirhead.
You got it. Yeah.
Muirhead.
So he dropped 3 lighthouse keepers off on Eilean Mor for the start of their stay on the remote and isolated lighthouse island of said island. Little did he know that on December 7th, 1900, that he would be the last person to ever see those men again.
Okay. So if I'm following you, he put 3 men on some remote island and then never saw them again?
You got it.
Okay. And what island was this that you said?
Eilean Mor.
Eilean Mor is the name of the
I think
island.
Mor is a Scottishy word for island.
M-O-R?
Kind of like loch is like a body of water.
M-O-R?
Mm-hmm.
Eilean Mor.
Yeah, I could be wrong about that.
And so where are we at in the world?
Let's talk about that right now. So Eilean Mor is an island that's part of a small chain called the Flannan Islands that sits off the west coast of Scotland.
Okay.
So way up high in the Atlantic, where it's cold and frigid, is a small island chain. Very remote in the North Atlantic, and they have been uninhabited forever. There's no people that live on these islands, the small chain.
Okay, so why is he putting people up here?
Well, because there's a lighthouse there. So these
Oh,
3
he
men
needs
are
someone
the
to
lighthouse
man the
keepers.
lighthouse.
Yeah.
So that ships don't run into them.
Right. So
Who decides where a lighthouse should go?
it's a good question.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm full of good questions.
Yes. And we'll get more into that here in a second.
Okay.
So the local native peoples of the area have always viewed the Flannan Isles as sort of a dark and foreboding place, rich with a lot of superstition, a lot of legends and things. For example, the natives would ferry sheep over to the islands to graze, but they would never spend the night on the islands because they were cursed. Bad mojo.
So they would take the sheep for the day and then come home
Yeah,
with their sheep?
correct.
Gotcha.
Maybe they'd leave the sheep, but they wouldn't stay. I don't know which way that goes.
Yeah.
But in 1890, it was decided that they needed to build a lighthouse on Eilean Mor, which was the largest of the 7 Flannan Islands. And because I guess it was a fairly popular shipping channel, and because of the North Atlantic, it was very, very rough and obviously treacherous waters. Speaking of that, we were at my parents' house this weekend, and in one of the bathrooms in my mom's house, she has these 3 pictures of giant, 50-foot waves breaking over lighthouses.
Mm-hmm.
And our 7-year-old came running up and grabbed me this morning. He's like, "Dad, I need you. What's happening in these pictures?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Come here. And I had no idea what he was talking about. So he took me downstairs and he took me in the bathroom. He's like, "What is this?" I'm like, "Oh, it's a lighthouse." He's like, "Wait, what's all around it?" I'm like, well, it's an ocean wave. Like, it's just a big wave of water hitting it. He's like, whoa, are people in there? I'm like, yeah. And they're alive? It was funny.
That is cute.
Yeah.
He just like never noticed them before.
Yeah.
Because they've been up there for
forever.
Forever, yeah.
And just never realized you could have ocean waves
Yeah.
that big.
Or didn't realize how close a lighthouse really is to the coast, maybe. Cute.
Yeah, it was cute.
He's cute.
He is. So they decided to build this lighthouse there. So in 1890, it wasn't finished constructed until 1899.
So it took a while.
It took a while. Very, 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 very challenging place to build a lighthouse.
Just remote and
It's
stuff.
very remote, hard to land anything. Even after the lighthouse was built, it was very hard to land boats on the island. But yes, I mean, treacherous terrain. And obviously the weather and ocean didn't help any. So the lighthouse was manned by a rotating team of 4. So there would always be 3 of them on the island and a 4th man on the mainland. And then they would rotate through.
Okay.
So every so many weeks, one would get a break, come off, the other guy would go. No, it is very important to note that due to its remote location, and this is also, the turn of the century between the 1800s and 1900s, there was no communication line at the lighthouse. There's no telegram, there's no telephone, there's no anything.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
The only way to communicate was via these light signals that could only be done at certain times of the day. So once you're out there, it's pretty
remote. Okay.
So our story now goes on. So he dropped them off on December 7th, right?
That's your birthday.
That's what I said at the beginning.
Yep.
Were you listening?
Yep.
Okay. So on December 7th, they dropped him off. Now, the next ship to relieve the crew and to do the switch was set for the 20th.
So you're out there for 13 days?
Yeah, almost 2 weeks. But on the 15th, a big storm kicked up. And there was a boat passing from the United States to Edinburgh, Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
And it noticed, about midnight, it passed by the island and made a report that the lighthouse was dark and not operating.
Ooh, that's bad news.
So yeah, that's the 15th, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, this would have been and was a major concern because, and this is going to maybe blow your mind a little, dark houses aren't any help to the boats on the water.
My mind is blown.
Yes, they need that light to be functional.
Otherwise, it's not really a lighthouse.
Tower, yeah, doesn't do much. And you've probably never heard of a dark house guiding a ship, have you?
No, I never have.
Because they don't.
That's right. It's like they do the exact opposite.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it was a bad thing, but with the storm, it was impossible to go check on them.
Okay.
And they had nobody to communicate with them, so they just had to wait it out. And so they were supposed to go on the 20th and change them out, but it wasn't until the 26th that the ocean was calm enough for them to send this relief boat.
So how many days late?
So
like 6 days late.
6 days late, 11 days since it's been reported out.
But 6 days later than what they were originally expecting.
So the other crewman, his name was Joseph Mor, got on this boat. I didn't write it down. I believe it was the Hesperus, if I remember right.
Okay.
And they went out there, and as they approached the island, the boat blasted 3 long horn blasts and shot a signal flare, but they got no response from the lighthouse or from the island. And as the ship moored, it was very obvious something was wrong. And as our story has already told us, there's something very wrong. And so normally the crew would be there to greet them. They'd have the empty provision boxes and ready to, switch out all the gear and stuff. There's no one there. So Joseph Mor goes ashore alone. How'd you feel being Joseph Mor?
Is he the only one on the boat?
No, there's a whole crew of guys.
Why would he go on the why would he go alone?
Well,
Why
he's
does
the only
anyone
lighthouse
do
guy.
this? It doesn't matter.
The rest of them are probably like, we're not going up there.
If you're alone, that's bad. Like, everyone in the whole world, take note right now and tell your friends, don't do things alone. There's strength in numbers. If it
Buddy
looks
system.
creepy and eerie, don't go on the island alone.
I mean, I would maybe throw out the advice, don't go on the island. Now, in this case, he didn't have that choice.
Well, no, you still need to go figure out what's going on.
I don't have to.
Well, I mean, but you, not you as directly
I
you, rhetorical you. But I mean, how does no one know this? Every scary movie, no one knows this.
Maybe in the 1890 or 1900, people hadn't figured that out yet.
No, I feel like it's an innate survival
It
skill.
wasn't until they made slasher movies that people figured out.
No,
It's like
it's
1981.
it's
It's the
an
first
innate-
time someone figured that out.
it's an innate survival skill.
Well, not for this guy.
If it's sketchy, don't go alone. End of story.
How do you define sketchy? Like, what's the boundary
You can
for sketch?
feel it in your gut.
But what did that sketch
Well, they knew
be?
right away that something was strange. They knew that it was weird. No one was responding. The lighthouse had been down for a while. They knew that. That right there, that's sketchy.
That sketch, huh? That sends off the sketchometer.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, it must have been pretty bone chilling. Like, one, it's an uninhabited island in the middle of nowhere.
Right. It's very isolated as
Already.
it is. So where are
And
these
you're like,
guys going to
okay,
go?
Where are all my homies?
Yeah.
And you're walking up by yourself. Just like, this is really weird.
Yeah.
What am I gonna find?
Don't be the tough person. Just don't. Just say, dude, we're drawing straws and 3 of you are coming with me. I'm sorry.
All right.
Okay. But he goes alone.
So he goes up. He's walking up the pathway. And he starts calling out to the other men. Hey, you guys.
I hope he sounds just like that.
Yeah. That's what he said.
Perfect. I love it.
Baby Ruth?
Okay.
It
Here.
wasn't sloth.
You're really good at that.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, side note, both Ethne and I growing up had a copy of that movie recorded off of the television on VHS.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And we bought it, obviously, because it's great. And we watched it with our kids. I mean, a long time ago now, but for the first time. And there were like 4 scenes I had never seen before because they'd been cut for timing. But they were the same 4 scenes you'd never seen
Never
before.
seen. It was wild.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
like, whoa. The whole scene with,
The pipes and the
with Troy in the bathroom.
like the old guy sitting on the toilet up
Yeah.
above or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the country
Never
club.
seen any of that.
I'd never seen the scene where,
Someone else was kissing.
like they
the
accidentally
blonde girl.
kiss. Was it Mikey? They kiss somebody, but it's they don't.
She has like,
Because her glasses are off. I don't remember.
I don't remember.
And then there's a whole other scene with Sloth and his mom.
Yeah.
Mom has been bad. Like that was all cut from. Anyways, blew my mind.
Blew all of our minds. Yeah.
A
Okay.
whole bunch more Goonies I'd never known about. Good times.
Good times.
So Joseph's climbing up here. He's calling everyone out. Nothing happens. And as he's walking up, the lighthouse looks normal from the outside. Nothing looks super. It's still there. It's not broken. It's not. It's not like a raccoon with the chicken when blood everywhere.
There's no evidence.
No evidence of foul play until he gets actually to the lighthouse, and the front door is open, which is really bizarre. Not something that would happen, let alone in that weather. Like people wouldn't leave the door open.
Right.
So very timidly, Joseph enters the lighthouse. You ever been in a lighthouse?
No, I don't
Me
think
either.
so.
It'd be interesting to see. I guess like it looks like an apartment.
I don't know. I picture like a spirally staircase going up the side. I don't know. Really don't know.
On the outside?
No.
On the
Like
inside.
along the wall on the
Yeah.
inside.
Well, obviously, they have to have that. Yeah. That's like 101 lighthouse building. But I assume there's also like a kitchen and stuff. So he goes in. And for the most part, everything looks pretty much as it should be. All of the lamps have been refilled, the oil. And there's cold ashes in the fireplace. The dishes have been done. So things are very orderly, which adds kind of to the strangeness, because it's like, okay, well, where is everybody?
Right.
Like, you would expect to find something amiss, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you would.
But so nothing seems amiss to begin with. So he keeps looking around, and then he does start to find some bizarre things. He does find an overturned chair in the kitchen. Just one, though.
Okay.
He finds that the men's beds are unmade, as if they had just gotten up. And I think that would be very uncharacteristic in this time.
Yeah, maybe.
I think most of these guys would be more militaristic. You know, they get up at a certain time, they make their bed, they either, you know, it's very scheduled.
Mm-hmm.
There are some reports that there was a meal left half eaten. Well, there's debate that. Like, it kind of goes back and forth about whether that was true or not. But the weirdest thing he finds is that the clocks have all stopped in the lighthouse.
Weird.
Yeah. So he's a little weirded out, obviously. He still can't find a body.
Are the clocks battery operated?
You know, I was wondering that.
Or like
I don't know how they worked back then, or if it's all like
a winding.
yeah.
Interesting, indeed.
But they've stopped.
Sorry.
And so, you know, at this point, Joseph is sufficiently bothered, freaked out, unnerved.
Right.
Because obviously something's amiss. But that's almost worse, right? Like, if you went in there and you found, like, blood sprawled across the walls and I don't know what, you'd be like, oh, okay, this is terrible, but I have a pretty good idea of what happened, you know?
Right.
Or, you know, it had collapsed.
Right.
You're, oh, okay, terrible, I know what happened. But if you walk in and it's like,
nothing really
it's
makes
mostly right, except for a few little things that are out of place, but everyone's missing.
That's
like,
weird.
That's
eerie.
Yeah, it's more eerie than, I don't know.
I agree.
So anyways, he goes back to the boat. And at this point, he makes a report, and he gets more guys to come back and help him out.
Duh.
Yeah, he should have listened to you.
Yes.
So they go to the east landing, where Joseph first went on, like wherever they landed the boat. And everything in that side's pretty good. But then they go to the west landing, which is on the opposite side of the island, hence east and west. And it's obvious over there that the storm has wreaked major havoc. So they find a box of like provisions and stuff 110 feet above the sea, smashed to pieces. So it had gone into the sea, thrown up 110 feet, and smashed. That's pretty impressive waves to throw a box up there.
For sure.
Yeah. They find the iron railing that were serving as the handrails are all bent in like unnerving directions and pulled out of their concrete anchors.
From the lighthouse? No.
From like the railing around up on the cliffs.
Someone had built railings up on the cliffs?
Yeah. So on this landing, there was like railings and stuff to get down to from the lighthouse down to the landing on that side.
Interesting. Okay, so you're just on the other side of the lighthouse.
Correct.
Okay. You're not on the other side of the island.
Well, you're on the other side of the island.
Is the island as big as a lighthouse?
The island's very small, yes.
But how big is the circumference of a lighthouse?
Probably pretty big.
Okay, so for some reason in my brain, when you're telling me this story, I am like picturing like a lighthouse, mostly centered on an island that is still smallish, but like definitely not the size of the whole island. So when you're saying the other side of the island or the other landing spot, I'm picturing you away from the lighthouse, but you're not.
No, I mean, I don't know exactly, but I don't get the impression, no, that this is a super far way away from the lighthouse.
Okay.
But even if it was, they've built some kind of dock/mooring area.
Okay.
And the metal railings have been ripped out of their
Okay.
concrete
Okay. Sounds good.
abutments.
Okay.
And craziest thing, they found a rock weighing over a ton had been moved from the ocean to on top of the cliff.
The rock over a ton. That's like really
2,000
heavy.
pounds had been thrown up on top of the cliffs from the ocean floor. Well, not the ocean floor, but the...
This is perplexing me.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a perplexing story. Tell me about your perplexion.
Well, I don't really know how the water could move a 2,000-pound rock, like up and over. I feel like it could move it a little bit, like on the bottom of a ocean or at the beach, like kind of, but that's a huge rock. It just doesn't seem, but I guess I'd have to do more research to see. Like, rocks don't float, so how can the water push it that much? Like, a boat floats, and so a very heavy boat can be pushed by the water. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But a rock's just going to sink right through the wave and just go down to the bottom.
So let's say you had a rock sitting at the bottom of a cliff, and you smash that rock with a giant wave. And it just, even if that wave kind of hit under that rock, you don't think you could propel it up the cliff side?
I mean, 2,000 pounds though?
I mean, look at that giant rock outside of your hometown there in Okotoks.
That's a glacier though. That's a glacier poop.
I mean, it was moved by a glacier.
So it would have been solid, like water in a solid form.
Okay, but a lot of those things move when the glaciers melt. And you have a giant torrent of water. Okay, maybe not that one, but like all through central Washington, through the Scablands,
sure,
you'll find these giant rocks that are
right.
deposited there by...
I'm okay with them moving, like almost at a level place. The whole part that's confusing to me is the up part. That's very...
Well...
I have to I don't know enough physics, but the up part is very weird to me.
Well, this is all part of the perplexingness of the story.
Right. So.
What's going on?
Right. I don't know.
What is going on, Ethne?
I wish I had all the answers.
I wish we just had an answer.
Well, I'm sure everyone wishes they had an answer because obviously there's not going to be a lot of answers, is my guess.
Well, let's find out.
Are they going to find even the bodies of these 3 poor men?
Let's see. So the search party goes back in the lighthouse. And they find the crew's logbooks.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm. And they had been kept until 9 a.m. on December 15th.
When the storm came in.
So that was the same day that the lighthouse was reported not working, but it wasn't reported until midnight.
And it was 9 p.m. or 9 a.m. Okay.
But in their logs, they had already documented the damage from the storm.
Okay. The other log guy, the guy that reported the lighthouse not working, they got on that ship.
And the American ship?
Yep. And they ran away. They escaped, or they got
joined the circus.
They got taken captive, or they needed their, join our crew. You have to. We're going to make you because we're down a couple men. Who knows? I mean, that's what I think happened.
That's way out there. It's a possibility.
I'm just saying.
There you go.
They made them get on their crew, whatever reason. Maybe their crew had a lot of sick people, or
so in the dark, in the middle of a storm, you think the ship anchored on the island?
Who knows if there really was a storm? If they'd already recorded the storm, maybe the storm was over.
Well, everyone else in the area was recording the storm.
I'm just saying, you're saying their logbook already had recorded the storm.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the storm had already happened. So then these guys came by. Maybe they lost their own men in the storm. And so they were like, listen, you're going to get on our ship.
The storm went on for another 11 days.
I mean, how does this storm last that long? Is that real?
This is the North Atlantic, man.
I mean, I don't know enough. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing out
It's a good idea.
A story.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate you thinking about it.
Yeah, I'm pondering.
So, they find another interesting thing.
Oh, no.
2 of the pairs of oilskins were missing.
Oilskins.
Those
Does
are
it
like
store
the-
water?
No, they're like those cool, like orange or yellow suits that sailors wear, like fishermen.
Oh, they call those oilskins?
Yep.
Oh, like the giant yellow jumpsuits with, they call those oilskins?
Yeah, you know, like the guy on the box of the
Yeah.
fish sticks?
Yeah.
Like that.
Huh. And why do they call them that? I've never known this.
I think because they repel water, like oil. And it's skin because you wear it.
Yeah. Oilskins. The
Yeah.
funny hat?
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. I learned something new.
Well,
So,
I
okay,
hope
so
that's
you're
true.
saying the two
Two
of them
are missing, but there was still one pair hanging up.
This is so bizarre.
So it means that whatever happened, one of the guys left without putting his stuff on.
Maybe they were trying to escape the island and get off the island because they were scared of the storm and they thought it's a worse place to be. So maybe they took a thing of provisions and I don't know, maybe they're trying to hail like a boat cab.
I think there are a lot of water taxis up there. This is a tropical paradise.
But you know what I'm saying? Like trying to hail any kind of ship to come help them and get them off this island. Not like truly really expecting that they're going to see many. I get that. I'm not like ridiculous, but
yeah, I mean, it's definitely you would think, I don't know what you would think. In my brain, it would make sense that you would want to just hunker down in your giant stone building rather than try to go out in
the raging waters.
80-foot waves. Yeah. I don't know how big they are, but
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just don't know.
I mean, even if you could signal a boat, I don't even know how you get to a boat in that kind of weather.
Yeah, I don't know either. I really
Get in
don't.
your dinghy and row out to them.
No. I don't know. I have no answers. I was just guessing.
No, it's good. I like the thoughts again,
So, oilskins, 2 are missing. One's
2
there
are missing, one's there. But they still don't find any evidence
of the bodies.
of the bodies. So Joseph, Mor, and 3 volunteers stay behind to get the lighthouse up and running. And the rest go back to report the missing crew. And nobody ever sees or hears from them again.
Caesar hears from who again?
The missing people. I mean, that's all they can ever figure out.
They maybe just got washed away off the island
So there's a couple theories.
into the water.
Do you think? So I guess before we go through the theories, with the information what do you think happened?
Well, I've already told you 2 ideas,
You think either
but
they
I don't
got
really think.
kidnapped by the American vessel or hailed a water taxi?
Yep.
I like your theories.
No, the most probable one is that they did something stupid and thought they could, I don't know, run out. And,
Maybe they went surfing.
yeah, not that stupid.
Oh.
I mean, like run out and get this box of provisions that they had forgotten or whatever you said found smashed.
Right.
And then the big wave came and washed them all away. Why one of them doesn't have their oilskins is weird. But, maybe he thought he was too cool. I could see like one of our children choosing not to wear their oilskin, thinking it doesn't matter. We're just going to grab the box and come back in. Probably have no shoes on, all the things.
Our children do go outside a lot in bad weather without shoes or clothes.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe it was a young kid who just thought he was too cool. And then they all got swept away into the water.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously the main theory, the official theory, is that they all got swept off to sea. The most likely of those scenarios is something like this. 2 of them maybe went out to work on something after the storm because they've already reported damage. I guess it was policy that one person always had to be in the lighthouse. They were never allowed to be out.
But then maybe
All
those
3 of
2
them.
never came back, so they went out looking.
So maybe the 2 never came back, or maybe he's sitting there eating his porridge or sitting there and reading the newspaper or whatever, and he sees a giant swell coming on the horizon, this monster wave. And so maybe he just bolts out of there knocks his chair over, doesn't grab his gear, try to get their attention, to tell them, like, you guys got to get in right now, and maybe never makes it.
Maybe.
And all three of them get lost. But even if that was the case, there's a few facts that just make it kind of weird. So, like, the fact that the beds weren't made makes it seem like they left in a rush.
Mm-hmm. That is weird, but...
like, in the middle of the night. But we know they didn't because the last entry at 9 a.m.,
right.
like, they were still awake at 9 a.m. I don't know how frequently you make an entry, but you would think if it was that night, there would have been some entry between 9 a.m. and going to bed that night.
You would think so.
Plus, the chair flipped in the kitchen, so it makes it seem like it wouldn't have been in the middle of the night.
Right. It almost seems like it was urgent.
Right. We do know that the storm, like, raged on until at least Christmas.
Wow.
So if the front door was open, I mean, maybe something like wind blew that chair over, sweeping down the corridors.
Mm-hmm.
But there's just not enough evidence any one way.
Yeah,
like,
that's
it's really
true.
hard to figure out what could have happened to all three of them with the information we know.
Yeah, that's true. Interesting.
So another hypothesis. So these next hypotheses, there's no evidence really to support them. They're just possible things. But some people talk about maybe there was a fight or a murder between the crew. I don't know, but I've worked on a couple jobs. Obviously never a lighthouse, but construction-y kind of things. And many times these jobs are guys who are very high testosterone.
So maybe something.
Quick to fight, angry, Like, I remember when I worked at the dump, we had I worked at this really cool magical dump. Maybe I'll tell a story of it sometime. Like landfill. And sometimes I would drive this big giant dump truck, like this rock truck. And we had I don't even know what the right word is.
I don't know
with
either.
a big scoop on it. Not an excavator, but like a big...
shovel?
Yeah, shoveler thing. Man, I can see it in our kids' night construction site book. I can't think what it's called right now.
And it's not an excavator?
No.
Okay.
Excavator's the big...
bucket?
Oh, maybe it is an excavator. Maybe I'm thinking of a front loader is the big one. Anyways, we'll call it an excavator. Yeah. And our dude who ran that thing, like, if you parked your truck like 6 inches wrong, he'd like jump out of the cab and just like F-bombs galore. I never could understand, like, how can one person be so angry all the time? Like, it was comical, like how he was like a nice guy, and then he would just like blow up. Like, it was
just
hilarious.
Snap.
Yeah. And so I don't know, maybe these guys, they're stuck on this island. Maybe you don't like the guys you're with to begin with, like in your crew.
But I feel like that would have come up in like the history of these guys, right? Like they would have known they don't like each other, and I think there would have been more information on that.
That's true. But I mean,
unless you kind of go cuckoo bananas.
Right. But it's like you're in this giant storm, your provisions are 6 days late. One of you is supposed to be gone already. You know? You don't know. There's no way of communicating with the mainland.
Right,
so
right.
I don't know when they're coming. I guess just whenever the stupid storm
so maybe
stops.
tensions were high, and that's true.
And then maybe they get in a fight, and it's not even like a murder. Maybe something just goes awry, and something
really bad happens. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then you kill the other guy because you're all crazy now, and you don't know how to get in there. You jump off the cliff yourself or something, because you don't want to face it.
Yeah, a whole lot of weird things. Yeah,
but there's not a lot of evidence of that either. There's no blood. There's no So unless you're just like pushing them off the cliffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's legit.
Yeah, like maybe the two with the oilskins were out there. And he like pushes them off.
Maybe.
And then jumps.
Yeah, maybe.
So that's the second hypothesis.
Okay.
Third hypothesis. While there is a little less evidence to support this, and by less I mean none whatsoever, there is a crowd out there that claims that they were probably abducted by aliens.
No.
So, I mean, I'm just being
I
fair
like-
to all the theories.
I like my hypothesis way better than the abduction one.
Yeah, I
The
mean,
water taxi or the forced joining their crew. I like all of mine better.
I think aliens might out-edge water taxi a little bit in likelihood, but
You're missing what I'm saying. It's not like I think there's water taxis just going around all the time. You're missing what I'm saying. They're thinking, oh my gosh, I need to get off this island. This is crazy. And they're waiting for a said boat to possibly come by. I'm not really saying that I think there's a million boats going by.
yeah, maybe. But maybe a spaceship flies by
Yeah.
and needs some probing done.
Yeah,
So they
that's
suck them up.
definitely more possible. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
if you don't like that one, wait till you see the last three.
There's still more.
There's three more.
It's the water taxi one, isn't it?
So there's another contingency, even smaller than the aliens, who believe that a sea monster grabbed them from the shore,
Ooh. It's a good
like
one.
a kraken, or something.
Yeah.
Reached up and ripped them right off.
Yeah, no.
No, you don't believe that
I
one
still like
either?
mine two better. Yeah, I like mine too.
Okay. What about this one?
Okay.
Kidnapped by foreign spies.
I mean, I don't know anything of this part of the world. I can't say I would know anything if that's a possibility or not, or what's happening in this part of the world. So I can't rule that one out completely until I would to say more. I need more research.
Yeah, I don't see
That's
it
more
very
probable than aliens or krakens,
I don't know if it is.
but it's not as possible as my
Water
two.
taxis.
Yeah, water taxis. And
I
what was
don't
my other option?
know.
Don't forget.
Joining a U.S. crew, even though the U.S. crew reported it and showed up.
They didn't want to tell them that they were forcing them to work on their ship. So they just said,
Oh.
there's something wrong with this lighthouse. And then they're like, but we took all of your guys. And then went.
Yeah, that's solid. That's solid. Yeah.
I still like that better than the Kraken coming out of the ocean and pulling them down. That's
If we were making a move
ridiculous.
and the Kraken would be way better.
Okay. All right. Okay, one more, right?
Yeah. So there is actually an eyewitness account of this last one from one of the other neighboring islands.
No.
Yes.
No.
That on the night of the 15th, which is the same night that it was dark.
And the U.S. ship made their report.
Yes. There's an eyewitness account of a boat full of ghosts rowing out to the island.
Oh, stop it.
I'm just saying.
Stop. You think that's better than my two?
A phantom boat?
What are we like? The Pirates of the Caribbean now?
Kind of like that, yeah.
They're in the moonlight and they're skeletons.
It's like Darby O'Gill, like that Banshee. Darby O'Gill, even though I understand. Yeah, no, that's Ireland.
Yeah.
But a whole boat of those going out.
A whole boat of
You have to remember,
banshees.
this island is steeped in dark folklore and superstition.
Okay. Yeah. Those are all terrible.
Alrighty.
Yeah. Those are terrible. I can't believe my two didn't make it on the list.
Yeah, it's weird that no one came up with the water taxi idea.
I can tell you think it's a good idea.
I do. So here's the moral of the story. Don't work on a lighthouse on an uninhabitable island in the middle of nowhere in the northern Atlantic.
Yeah, that is the moral of the story.
Find a better job.
So now I must know, is that lighthouse still there and operational?
That's a good question. I don't know.
We need to know that. That's very pertinent information.
I'm going to Google it right now.
Because lighthouses are still a thing. You would think that there might be better technology out there at this point, but there's really, in certain situations, there's really not. And so I wonder if in this area, that lighthouse is still...
Flannan Isles Lighthouse. It's a lighthouse near the highest point on Eilean Mor, one of the Flannan Islands in the outer somethings west of Scotland. Best known for its mysterious disappearance of its keepers in 1900.
Is it still operational?
It looks like it is.
Okay. See, there you have it.
Yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah. I mean, these pictures definitely look
Like it's still okay.
Very.
Well, if anyone's going to Scotland and they're going to travel that remotely, I mean, check it out.
It was automated in 1971.
I don't know what even that means. Automated?
Like I don't think anyone lives there anymore.
Oh, they turned it into like a automatic
giant
flashlight. I get you. So no one needs to be
75 feet tall, 23 meters.
So it's still there, but not inhabited by a crew.
Yes.
Because they realized this is terrible out here, probably.
I mean, I could have told you that.
They realized we can use these people somewhere else.
Oh, wow. This is cool. So it's funny how little I know about anything in life. The lens, guess what kind of lens this has?
The lens
in
in
the
the
lighthouse?
Like to reflect the light? Is that the lens we're talking about? Or what kind? I don't know if I...
It has a third order clamshell Fresnel lens. Like,
Yeah.
It's just like, that means nothing to me.
I was
but there's a
thinking
whole industry about
that
that.
should have been...
I wonder what a second order clamshell lens is like.
Well, I was actually thinking more along the lines of like a...
You were thinking more first order?
No.
Not
Keep
clamshell, but lobster tail?
No, not lobster tail.
Crab legs.
No, stop talking for a minute. Hermit crab shell.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I do like a good hermit crab
Yeah.
shell lamp.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Hermit crab shell.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Okay, we know nothing about all
How
the
about
things.
lighthouses?
Nope, not about lighthouses.
Or really, yeah, you're right, about much of anything. So
But that's how every human is. That's why we all have our specialties, right?
mm-hmm.
Together we make one great whole.
Mm-hmm. I'm reading this thing here about the landing stages of... But the cargo was carried in a small four-wheeled bogie. I don't even know what that means. What's a four-wheeled bogie?
4 wheels, so maybe it can be on land and on sea.
Nope.
Like it can roll.
A bogie is a framework that carries a wheel set attached to a vehicle, a modular sub-assembly of wheels and axles. I don't know what this means, man.
Okay.
Holy crap.
I think it's time.
Time for bed.
You're going down a rabbit hole here.
Yeah. So anyways, long story short, don't work there.
Yeah, find a different job but now you don't need to work there anyway. So that's okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All righty, everybody. Well,
Ponder on the Isles
mystery of the Flannan Isles.
The Flannan Isles. There we go.
Yeah, not flannel, Flannan.
Flannan. Yeah, that's what I said.
I know. I just, throwing it out there.
Just clarifying. All right.
All right, everyone. Have a wonderful week.
We will talk to you later.
Yeah. Later. We will be back. Have a good week, everyone. Bye.